video, we'll take up the Chapter 5 review. The first question is basically testing your understanding on periodic behavior. So if you were to study the programmable thermostat, you'll see that the temperature is going to follow a periodic function every week. It won't be perfect, but it will resemble a periodic function. For question 2, they give us a graph and ask us for the period, the min value, the max value, amplitude, and the equation. So our equations might be different, but it should look very much the same. And I'm surprised, I also gave myself a graph. Oh, sorry, that's number 5. So yeah, question 2, beautiful. Yeah, I didn't need to graph it. For question 3, the sound is being distorted because the period is changing as the car moves away and towards you. For question 4, this is very important. You need to know how the graph of the sine function looks like, okay, regardless of how a restricted domain. So I'm graphing from negative 270 degrees to 810 degrees, no problem. Yeah, my graph is ugly because I didn't have some grid lines to help me, but you know what, that it should look something like that. For question 5, not much to say. They gave us the equation and asked us for the properties, and this time they asked me to graph it. Okay, for question 6, what do we have? They give us properties, write the equation, and they also want me to write a cosine equation. No problem, no problem. So if it's cosine, you just have to pick a different starting point. The amplitude is the same, so the magnitude of A is the same, the period is the same, so the magnitude of K is the same, equation of axis is the same, so C is the same. So it's just have to be careful with D. For question 7, they gave us the equation that models the height of the tide. So yeah, once they give you the equation, then it's pretty straightforward because you don't have to generate the model, and that makes life a lot easier. So not really much to say. It's just a fancy, I would say 7 is a fancy version of number 5. Okay, now E is interesting though. E is interesting because I have to let h equal 10, and now I have to think back to the previous unit. I have to use the CAS rule. Cosine is positive in quadrant 1 and quadrant 4. Find the infinite answers using coterminal angles, and then I can answer the problem properly. Okay, since the period is 12 hours, so 4:21 a.m., 4:21 p.m., 11:39 a.m., 11:39 p.m. every single day. That is when the tide is 10 meters high. Okay, what else do we have here? Question 8. Question 8 is also a decent question. They did give us the model, which makes life much easier. So I would say the most interesting question for 8 is E. Once again, to find the answers, you need to use the CAS rule. So it's 3/7, so positive in quadrant 1 and quadrant 4. Use coterminal angles, get your infinite answers. But because the truck traveled only 3 meters, then you only have 3 solutions. Okay, so I'll let you think about that, but that's the homework solutions for the Chapter 5 review.